Here's a full, original emotional story inspired by your prompt, suitable for approximately 15-minute YouTube video. It opens with a strong hook, follows a compelling arc with relatable characters and real challenges, and ends with a hopeful, inspiring message. He sat at the edge of the crowded playground, silent and exhausted, shoulders slumped, eyes fixed on the floor. The noise of children laughing and running around felt distant, as though his ears were full of lead. He was a single dad, worn thin by life's burdens, desperately seeking a moment of peace, and maybe a reason to believe again. But then a trembling voice broke through the blur of adult conversations and shifting feet. "Sir, excuse me." He glanced up. A small girl, ragged pink dress, hair in a messy ponytail, stood before him. In her arms was a scruffy stuffed bunny. Her eyes were swollen, cheeks glistening with tears. "My mommy, she's crying," she whispered. Her voice was barely above the playground din. "I don't know what to do." A knot formed in his chest. For reasons he couldn't name, he felt something stir. Protection, compassion, maybe guilt for every night his own daughter had waited for him, only to find an empty door. He didn't move at first. Part of him wanted Tashi away. He was no hero. He barely managed to parent his own child. Why get involved in someone else's pain? But the girl's small hand reached out, gripping his sleeve. "Please, be my mother's support." That simple plea, raw, honest, felt like a challenge he could no longer ignore. He rose, voice calm. "Show me where she is." They walked together through the mall's echoing corridors. The little girl, whose name was Lily, led him to a bench near a muted fountain. There, hunched over, was a woman with tear-streaked cheeks, clutching a phone. Her shoulders shook with each breath, as if she were drowning. The woman didn't notice them until Lily gently touched her arm. When she looked up, red-rimmed eyes widened. Confusion, then fear, then surrender. She didn't stand, just sat, Lily's holding tighter to the ragged bunny. The father, his own heart pounding, crouched beside them. "Ma'am," he began gently, "I don't know your story, but your little girl thinks you might need help." The woman blinked, fear and shame mixing in her eyes. She opened her mouth, but no words came. He glanced at Lily, then back to the woman. "If you want, I'll be right here. Talk when you're ready." What came next was slow. Healing is rarely swift. She told him her name was Maria. She had lost her husband months ago, an illness that stole every dream they built. She had tried to be strong for Lily, but grief has a way of shattering strength. Some nights, Maria found herself unable to sleep. Other nights, she wept silently so Lily wouldn't hear. By day, she struggled through job applications, failing to hide her fatigue of body and spirit. Today she had come to the mall hoping to distract Lily with a bit of fun, but grief followed. As he listened, the father's own burden rose in memory. Difficult nights, painful phone calls to child care, empty refrigerator shelves, held back tears. He recognized the same desperation in Maria's eyes. For a moment, they were strangers. But grief, and hope, made them kindred. He didn't offer grand solutions. Instead, "I can watch Lily while you rest. Or we can go get coffee. Take as long as you need." She nodded, tentative, uncertain. So they walked to a small cafe inside the mall. Lily sat between them, bunny clutched tight. The father asked Lily gentle questions, her favorite color, her school, what games she liked. Her voice was soft, but it warmed the silence. Maria sat quietly for a long time, warming her hands around a cup, staring at the steam. When she finally spoke, voice shaky, it was barely above a whisper, "Thank you." He nodded slowly. "No need to thank me. You don't have to do this alone." Over the next few months, their lives intertwined, subtly but deeply. The father and his daughter, a bright, curious girl named Maya, started meeting Maria and Lily at the park on weekends. At first it was brief, shared swings, a few tentative conversation. But gradually, trust formed. Maria found a part-time job at a bookstore. It wasn't much, but it was honest and stable. The father, whose job as a delivery driver forced him to odd hours, offered to pick up Lily from school on days he was free. Maya and Lily grew attached, an accidental sisterhood born from heartbreak and hope. There were tough days. Maria's grief would flare up, a memory on the radio, a typed email from bills overdue, a scent of coffee that reminded her of her husband. On those days, she would isolate. The others knocked gently. A delivered dinner, a drawn cartoon from Maya, a text, "I'm here if you need to talk." Once, after a night where sleep eluded her, she tossed and turned, haunted by the emptiness. She almost quit the bookstore. But the father, himself teetering on the edge more than once, sat with her until dawn. He talked about his own fears, failing Maya, being tired of pretending everything was fine. They didn't solve everything, but they offered each other something rare, steady presence. The kind that doesn't preach, doesn't judge, simply says, "I see you." One day, Maria stood in the back of the bookstore, holding a small newborn girl outfit. She stared at it dumbly, a gift she was supposed to accept from a coworker. She realized then, part of her had been living in a world where nothing good could come again. That day, she walked outside and saw Maya and Lily playing hopscotch on the sidewalk, sunshine on their laughter. The father sat nearby, sipping a coffee and reading a book Lily held. For a long moment, Maria allowed herself to hope. Hope that grief had not claimed all of her. Hope that family could look different, not blood, but compassion, resilience, shared vulnerability. She took a deep breath. She walked over. "Can I join you?" she asked. The father looked up, gentle smile. "Always." Lily ran toward her, arms wide. Maya joined as well. On that small sidewalk in the afternoon light, laughter replaced silence, warmth replaced pain. Months turned into a year. Maria's job hours grew steadier, enough to afford a small apartment for her and Lily. She didn't need to rely on the father's help anymore. But the bond remained, not as lovers, not as a replacement for what was lost, but as a chosen family, imperfect, fragile, real. On a quiet evening, sitting on his porch with Maya asleep inside and Lily bouncing a ball nearby, the father looked up at the stars and whispered, "We all found a way home." In life's harshest moments, grief, loss, loneliness, some people shrink back. But others lean into the pain, reach out a shaky hand. None of them were perfect. None of them had it all together. But together, they rebuilt compassion. They discovered something profound. Sometimes, family isn't what you're born into, it's what you build when you refuse to give up on someone's pain. If you like, I can write a full script version with timestamps, scene directions, narration and dialogue of this story, ready to drop right into a 15-minute video.